to open up that gray hymnal. Thank you for joining us. I know it's a beautiful fall day, so thanks for those that showed up in person. Welcome, I'm Penny Vick. I'm the Director of the Religious Exploration here at First UU, and I'm glad to be here with you. On behalf of our entire congregation, thank you for being here, whether in person or on Zoom or via YouTube. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. Please fill out a blue visitor sheet at the welcome table. We'll make sure you are personally welcomed and added to our weekly newsletter mailing list. If you're joining online, send an email to the office at firstuu-indianapa.org to join our newsletter mailing list. On Zoom, you'll see the chat button below the video screen. We use that feature for our greetings, chalice sliding, and for joys and concerns during the service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, PA is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. We are self-governing congregations united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have no creed or doctrine, teaching that all individuals have the right and responsibility to discern and follow their own spiritual paths. We come together to support and assist each other on our journeys and to build our beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the service to greet one another and rejoice in our mutual presence. We will open the microphones on Zoom for coffee hour, and folks here in person, you'll be welcome to come up and then to greet and join those electronically. A few special announcements. Fall religious exploration classes will kick off next Sunday. I'm still looking for a few volunteers. I know that you don't see many children here, but there will be 30 next week. So I'm needing some volunteers if you're willing to help. Today after the service, Jeffrey Bowden will have postcards for you, Justice PA, available to write in the foyer. Please stop by to get caught up on the issues our faith leaders are working on in Harrisburg and to write a postcard or two on the issues that you feel called to support.
Oh, is it Ruth instead of Jeffrey? No, it's been postponed. Oh, okay. Do that next week.
So we'll postpone the UU Justice PA postcards. That's fine. That's okay. And also, I'd like to bring your attention in our local area, a need for support of our transgender friends and community members has arisen. As local school parents have decided to challenge the inclusion of library books in our schools that affirm diversity of human existence. Having literature that reflects the wide variety of human experience and identity is affirmed by many studies as a basic piece of protecting children and youth from self-harm and suicide, as well as bullying and harassment by peers. In order to protect transgender people in the community from exposure and harm, we ask that cis people, those who identify as gender they were assigned at birth, please take some leadership on this by signing onto a collective letter, which is being sent to the school in the next week. I think it's tomorrow, actually. You can sign on or check in with Lee Hendricks after the worship service to have your name added. And now I invite you to take a gentle breath, settle into the spirit of worship.
The Reverend Hannah Roberts Villeneuve writes, "The storm is passing over," the old hymn says, "except, except, except." The storm has not passed over just yet, has it? Yet here, for this hour together, we rest in the eye of the storm. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people here in the eye of the storm. The calm, common center, the place where the pressure reduces, where the winds die down. We are finding one another near and far in new ways of being together again and again and again. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. At once, we find an empty seat and a new face. We see new gray hairs and yet others who have grown. Maybe 5 inches taller since we last met here. New lines of worry are on our furrowed brows, even visible on a Zoom screen or behind a mask. We gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Here in the eye, the pressure goes down. The winds die down. Looking up at the walls of the cyclone, we see towers of clouds and rain and wind held up around this hour by forces of circling chaos, because the storm has not passed over after all. And so we gather, not as a changed people, but as a changing people. And the winds die down. Perhaps we glimpse the sun, comforted, even as we know this pause is temporary. We take a moment, a breath, to join together again. For we gather not as a changed people, but as a changing people. Changing, breathing, being, knowing that this is but a moment, grateful beyond measure for this moment. Let us worship together.
Now let us light our chalice flame. On Zoom, you may type "the flame is lit" wherever you are, and say where you're joining us from in the chat bar. You'll join me together. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea. So are we drawn together, so are we fortunate to find one another. So are we bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity. Now, will you now rise in body and spirit and join me in singing hymn 352, Find a Stillness. You'll find it in the gray hymnal.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit, give me power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit, give me power, I will find true harmony.
So this is a story that comes from the biblical tradition, from the ancient Middle East. It's a story about a boat. So once long ago, in the midst of a sea called the Galilee, there was a young man and 12 friends, and they were all traveling together. They were on a mission to spread the word about how fun sharing and caring could be. And they needed to travel fast to let more people know the good news. In those days, one of the fastest ways to get around was by boat. And so that evening, they set sail across the sea. But a great wind came up. And while initially it was fun to go so fast, soon the storm shook the whole boat. and made it rock and roll, not in the fun music and dance party kind of way, but more like the way that makes your stomach feel wobbly and your knees tremble. And that whole group of friends got quite scared. They started checking to see who had on their life vests and which of them knew how to swim and whether there was any way to make the storm calm down. Well, do you think any of them knew how to stop a storm? No, it's true. They couldn't stop it, but they could check on each other and see how everyone was doing. And as they did, they noticed one member of the group, Jesus, was fast asleep. How could it be in the midst of all this fear and upset with the boat rocking, they asked? How could he just sleep through it all? Well, they woke him up to ask. And Jesus said,
Everything will be just fine. We're all going to get through it together.
But his friends asked in their fear, what if the storm gets even stronger and the boat tips over?
Well, I guess we'd have to get out and walk.
And then he did. Jesus just stood right up and watched the storm for a minute, and the storm calmed down as if just looking at it with calm made everything less scary. And then he stepped right out of the boat and he walked across the water a ways until he was fairly far from the boat. You can't do that, said his friends. That's not even how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Pretty sure I can,
said Jesus, standing up on top of the water and looking back at them.
I think if you believe you can, that you'd be able to do it. It's just like me.
Well, most were too scared. But one thought the whole thing was pretty hilarious and decided to believe in it enough to try. So like Jesus, this friend began to walk out onto the water, and surprise of surprises, it held his friend up, solid as a stone road, until he stopped laughing and looked down and started to be scared about what might happen to him, all alone out on the water. And then, whoops, he started to sink right down in. But Jesus reached out and grabbed his hand.
Hey, silly friend, you can't just go falling into the water like that. You're not even wearing a bathing suit. You'll get all wet.
Well, as soon as they touched hands, he stopped sinking and they walked together back to the boat, all the way right across the water that held them up just fine. So this is a Bible story that is one of the miracle stories about the life of Jesus and his friends. It has a lot of different interpretations. One that I like, though, is thinking about this story as a metaphor for life. Sometimes there are big, scary things happening, like a storm. And we can't stop a whole hurricane from happening, not even a little thunderstorm. But we could take a nap and get well rested. And then maybe, if we're the best and calmest and best rested person in the room, we could even help a friend out with some creative solutions. Now, just to check, everyone here should have a few craft supplies, maybe popsicle sticks, a few pipe cleaners, construction paper. We're going to need those and this story when we get to our you moment in a few minutes.
Jonas and Carlin will be
Yes. So if you need those, feel free to grab a few as we connect our voices in blessings and greetings and pass our sign of peace. Peace be with you all on Zoom as well.
Some centering words. I lift my eyes up to the hills. From where will my help come? My help comes from love abundant. My help comes from the hills. My help, it comes from ancient mothers whose hearts beat in mine. It comes from the trees that sway and the breeze that sway them. My help comes from all that was and is and will ever be. I lift my eyes, hushed by the soothing touch of waves, crashing, caressing, wounded shores, wounded souls. I lift my eyes to the horizon, bathed by the hum of mothers and mothers, mothers, cradling, gently rocking. I lift my voice, call of the sea, trees, sister, moon, mother, earth, my soul weeping, a symphony of life overflowing. I give myself. I too hum through every pore, with every breath. I give myself an extension of all that is, was, and ever will be. During our centering music, if you have joys or sorrows you would like spoken aloud in our pastoral prayer, please write them on your note card and place them in the basket during the centering music. If you're joining us on Zoom, please place them in the chat and our tech host will write them down and put them in the basket for you.
In the ever-shifting waters of the river of this life, I was swimming, seeking comfort. I was wrestling ways to find a boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I let the fretful waters of this river round me pass. So I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, a trusty rock I called my Savior. There I would be safe from the river and its dangers, and I proclaim my rock divine. And I prayed to it protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. Still I clung to my rock tightly with conviction in my arms, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my legs, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and a sense of being led. And this river is like my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing scenes and by the rocks that sing this song. God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. God is the river swimmer, so let go.
All right. So, remember how I told you all you'd need craft supplies in just a moment? Well, that is this moment. So I'm hoping you've got what you need. And let me tell you a little bit about this. So here's the thing. Remember when I said this is a whole metaphor? Rowan, you're a minute early. We are all going to talk to each other. So when Jesus and all of his friends got into that little boat, they were pretty convinced that their only way across the ocean was in that one tiny boat, and that if it tipped, they'd be out of options. They wouldn't have any way to get where they were going. But we're here today. I suspect many of you come to church to think a little differently about our lives, to imagine how many choices we might have when we all work together. So we're going to play a little game. So raise your hand if you've ever played or you know a game that's called The Floor is Lava. Anybody ever played that before? Ever heard of it? All right. So when you play The Floor is Lava, super fun as a kid, you're not allowed to touch the floor, but you have to get from one place to another. Because if you step on the floor and the floor is lava, ouch, your feet will burn right off. So ours is going to be pretty similar. It's called The Floor is the Sea of Galilee, which works fairly the same. If you're spry and you like to move around, or you want to help somebody else move around, you are welcome to take yourself to the right side of the room about now. So you can hop up. You might want to take your craft supplies with you. Yes. Oh, y'all's right side of the room. Yeah. Head toward Ruth and Lee and our lovely and quick visitor folk. All right. Yeah. And you can also participate from your seat, so you don't have to be a standing up person to be a part of this game. All right. So here's the deal. You all have decided to go on a journey, and you've got to get across the Sea of Galilee if you're going to make it to where you can spread the good news. Now, couple of rules. You can use all sorts of creativity. If you are using some of your supplies and you've created a boat, you've created some sort of structure around you, you could use popsicle sticks, pipe cleaners, whatever, then you can float. If you have something that's like a little island that you could stand on, gosh, I wonder what kinds of things, then you're okay to walk. Here's the deal, though. Anything you put on the floor won't float for you. Anything someone else helps with will. And there's a nice thing. There are some helpful people around who might be able to help you out if you get part way and get stuck. So feel free to work together and find lots of ways of getting people across. Try not to leave anybody behind. That's not really in the spirit of church. And one other thing, maybe don't put your feet on the chairs. All right. Okay. Went out for a second. Right. You ready to head to your seat? And then we'll do our, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna call it that you all are across the Sea of Galilee when you get to the middle there. Because I think you've figured out your tactics. Thank you all. All right. So. Yeah. Yep. I think you all have made it far enough. We can see your tactics are working. So this is the thing. Not everybody got across the same way. And some people were quick. Some people took a while thinking about how this might work. But like any religious community, when we work together, we support and help one another, and we can help hold each other up in creative ways. So now we're going to bring this back to our values, and we'll speak together the words of our 7 principles. We're using the children's version, which should be in the front of your gray hymnal. So our Tapestry of Faith principles state, we believe that each and every person is important. We believe that all people should be treated fairly and kindly. We believe that we should accept one another and keep on learning together. We believe that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life. We believe that all persons should have a vote about the things that concern them. We believe in working for a peaceful, fair, and free world. We believe in caring for our planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. And now we come to the time in our worship service where we take a moment to honor the joys and the sorrows in our lives. And we begin with a time of silent meditation, during which, if you would like to come up to place a stone or light a candle in honor of those moments, you may do so in the silence of sacred space. So now let us join hearts and minds together in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life and of love, creative, creator of all that is. We gather together to share the milestones of our living. Today, close to home in this building, we have joy from and for Aaron Lehman saying, "It works." After a few weeks of hiccups, our hybrid electronics are working. They sound good here. They sound, I think, pretty good on Zoom. And I want to give a moment of gratitude to Aaron and Eric and everyone who has taken the time to work on our tech so that we can have people near and far, people who are able to be with us in body and those who wish to be with us from afar. So we give thanks. We also give thanks for a ministerial search team that is rolling along, having their retreat with transitions coach Reverend Joan Van Beesler, who is able to join all the way from Ohio today with our technological abilities. So we are grateful for all that is going on in our church community. And we also hold space for sadness. We hold in our hearts Juanita Burdette, whose sister passed away on Friday, and for Judith, whose sister is in the hospital, though slowly improving. And let us take a moment to hold in our hearts Josiah, who is feeling just a bit overwhelmed between health and automobile issues and could use some good energy. And then let us hold in joy and caring and hope the things which are coming into being, that our friends of the church will be opening the Pan Asia Cafe, should be open by October 7th. So keep those fingers crossed and that good energy flowing for everything to go smoothly for that opening. Let us also hold in our hearts the cuddly cuteness that our nearby homeless cat project has spayed and neutered 12 cats in 10 days. Though they do have 7 kittens needing foster parents or homes. So if you are open for cuddly cuteness, it's a little more of an announcement than simply a blessing, but man, cats are a blessing. And also let us give thanks that we have the setup ready to go, because we have immigrants and refugees coming this way. We have 2 Burmese families that arrived in our community just last week, and 2 Afghani families who will be arriving soon. And our congregation has been of help in the past with the refugee working group, and we hope to be of help now and in the future. It is a blessing to have people join our community in the wider world. And one more joy, Nana's husband's aunt has gotten onto a waiting list for a kidney transplant, and we hope that goes well. And so, for all that is difficult in the wider world, while we hold sorrow, let us give thanks for comfort and community, for caring. Let us acknowledge the blessings of our life, notice the beauty of the earth, the changing seasons, the leaves which will turn not too far from now. And may we find comfort and strength in community with one another. May our hearts be healed, and may we be filled with peace. Amen, and blessed be.
At the First UU Church of Indiana, we share the plate by giving a portion of every week's donation to an organization outside the church. This is part of our congregation's mission to promote compassionate and responsible thought and action in the world by giving back to the community around us every week. So when you give this morning, know that you are making an impact not only for this congregation, but also in the wider community through our shared giving. This month, our shared plate recipient is the American Red Cross of Chestnut Ridge. The Chestnut Ridge chapter of the American Red Cross is part of the 61 county Greater Pennsylvania region and services nearly 650,000 people in Armstrong, Fayette, Indiana, and Westmoreland counties. The vast majority of workers for the Red Cross are volunteer, provide humanitarian aid to victims of disaster and hardship. The Red Cross provides monetary aid to victims of disaster from their donation pool. The Red Cross also offers instruction in safety with CPR classes, first aid, swimming safety, and fire safety. Locally, the Disaster Action Team provides assistance to victims of house fires in the form of emergency money, housing assistance, comfort care, and counseling. Follow-up post-disaster, all provided by volunteers. The Disaster Action Team is called out by EMS to every home fire in the county and the region. Recently, they assisted members of our UU family who experienced a fire in their home. Please give as you are able to work to the work of this church within and beyond our wall as we share in singing our offering hymn. Number 402, From You I Receive.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
This offering is gratefully received for the work of this congregation within and beyond our walls. So today we are talking of stormy seas and boats and all the ways that we may be together when things are just a little off kilter. It's been a while since things felt normal. People of all ages know that things are not the way they used to be. Whether you are young and you've never been in school without a mask, whether you are older and you can remember pandemics of the past when the swimming pool was closed because it was a polio summer, whoever you are, you know that life has changed. And like any storm, any turbulence, this too shall pass. For storms do not last forever. Hardship cannot last a lifetime. And most importantly, know that life has changed. We get through all of this. And like any storm, any turbulence, just take a moment. This too shall pass. In the eye of the storm. For storms do not last forever. Hardship cannot last a lifetime. And most importantly, know that life has changed. We get through all of this. And can you turn like any storm, up, perhaps? Any turbulence, just take a moment. This too shall pass. In the eye of the storm. For storms so do well not for so much of the service. we just gotta have that one hiccup per Sunday. We're working our way through it. And sort of gives us a nice illustration point. I don't know if you've noticed, our worship setup has changed. It's part of the turbulence of this year. But what I'm hoping to say is this. Because the sermon has already been given. When we work together, it's not just that we get through it. Did you see the energy in the sanctuary as we were working on that? The floor is the Sea of Galilee, but it raised. It wasn't just that we were solving a problem. It's that we were finding joy together. That when we get out of that space where we're alone and it's hard and we've got to figure it out just by ourselves, and we get into that community creativity. What if I give this to you and you give this to me? What if we try walking on this tiny narrow pipe cleaner to get across to the next piece of construction paper, and then I'll drop one for you and you give one to me? What if we hold hands? What if we reach out? It goes from aloneness and hardship to community and connection. And then in the midst of all that hard work, it's fun. It's fun to stretch and bend and move in the winds of change because we are together. And that truly is all we need to know. That we are in church community because when we are a congregation, we are not just a collection of individuals here to be entertained on a Sunday. You have Netflix for that. We are a group of people who are more, who are better, who become a congregation that is interwoven and entwined, that makes the foundation of a boat. But more than that, if the boat tips over, we don't stop being a congregation. We find new ways to walk on water, and we have fun and laughter while doing it. So that sermon has already been preached because you have already experienced the joy of collective work today in this sanctuary. What I'm asking you now, today, whether you are here electronically or in person, is to carry that lesson forward. To know that as you go into ministerial search in this coming year, you do so not as random independent folks, each with your own unlimited preferences, but as an interwoven whole that is thinking about what is best for a whole boatload of people. That as you come back to this sanctuary and to this congregation, which is now live, as we restart committees, as we rework our tech, that we are doing all of this because the more people who can be part of those in the boat, or who we can show how to make a bridge, the more people who we can help reach out a hand to so that they too can walk on water, the more people we can offer the time to take a nap so that they can help with the creative bits, the better we all shall be. May it be so, and blessed be.
Spirit within all, mysterious force giving shape to life, miraculous source and river of being. Help us to know who we are, to see our place in the history of the earth and in the family of things. Help us to see that we are part of all that ever was. Our grandmother's prayer and our grandfather's dreamings, our mother's courage and our father's hope. In our bones lies the calcium of the antediluvium creatures. In our veins courses the water of seas. We are part of all that ever was. Born of this earth, riders upon a cosmic ocean. We are not separate from nature. We are nature, part of that same spirit that turned scales into feathers and bird song into speech. We live by the sun. We move by the stars. We eat from the earth. We drink from the rain. Oh, great Spirit, help us know who we are and fill us with such love for this holy creation and gratitude for this awesome gift we call living, that we might claim our inheritance and live out our calling to bless the world and each other with our care. Amen. Now, please join me now in singing our closing hymn, number 1064, Blue Boat Home. Which will be in your blue hymnal.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, till my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life, never all the standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, till my dry land can say, I've been sailing all my life, I feel no motion.
I'm not sure, but I think we actually know this song really well, so we could just go a cappella from here. Ready? My sail and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. you all. And now we will extinguish our chalice flame. I invite you to say the words with me for extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And so, whatever curveballs, whatever troubled waters, whatever storms may come to pass, may we together, even as we go forth from this place, bring our spirits again and again to community, to creativity, to joy in this space and time we share. Blessed be.